良い授業であった。これぞ学園生。死後は許す。いつでも来い。頑張るぞ。
Roland, what's up?
励んでますね。
Roland had some unfortunate news. He said he can't make it to the debut.
What?
He's going to be working.
Wait, what time is the debut at?
You should know.
I forgot.
I'll let you find out. What Roland? He said he'll have it.
死後は許す。若様に近づきたい。昨日のようじゃ。以上です。
Sorry, I was reading something.
これぞ真実。
Are you?
歴史は若様が作る。怖い情だ。
I'm good.
こうでしょ？居眠りをしていた生徒は。
Well, I can't look because I'm sharing my screen.
You interrupted the man who said the right answer.
Oh, I'm sorry. Can you say it again so I can hear?
7.
僕が答えます。
I'll probably still be driving.
シルバーは居眠り。以上です。
Well, hopefully, try to be there in some way.
Yeah, I'll try.
覚えることがたくさん。死後は許す。
These are lasting forever.
潰れたこうでしょ？
It's okay.
落書きしてんの。簡単なゲームです。昨日のようじゃ。簡単だ。僕の優秀さ、少しはご理解いただけました？
Christmas Bob is live. I'm opening up his stream right now.
Stick amethyst, send a little emote, and then said the number 7.
Okay.
Oh, PM. Tomorrow. No, not tomorrow. It's in 2 days.
You gotta check out what I'm about to send you. Let's see. What's the debut order?
What?
Oh, I was talking to myself. Oops. Don't you hate when you click on something by accident and it's like a whole thing to get it erased? Uh-oh. I don't... Okay, yeah, like this. And then... like this. And then this. It's worth it. It's gonna be worth it. Yo, what did it be? Boom.
How do I see what you're showing him?
Patrick got so many epic emotes.
Where do I find what you're showing us?
On Twitch.
Oh.
I tried to do it in debut order. I couldn't. I think I did it. Like the whole live side and then the stars.
I'm not sure about Kiara versus Muna. I think Muna might have come first.
What? Am I a fake fan?
Maybe.
Because they're still doing the drops. I thought it was only yesterday, but it's possible to get their emotes through December 1st.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, Kiara was streaming today, so I got her emote just recently.
Oh, nice. Kiara. Get that emote.
So what's your opinion about Camp Vargas?
I don't know yet, but I'm excited to find out what it's like.
What's this chapter called?
No ifs, ands, or buttes.
And where are they at?
The lecture hall.
I'm going to start by taking roll. Each representative should speak up when I call your club. Is the equestrian club here?
Naturally, all members present and accounted for.
Next up, the track club. Here. And the basketball club?
Present.
So are you learning who's in each club right now in the 2 seconds you get to look at them?
Trying to.
Which leaves the Spell Drive Club.
What's that?
Think of it like Quidditch. Hello? Spell Drive Club? Are they absent?
We're here. The whole club's here, sir.
Very good. A full house, as it were.
Phew, that was close. The last thing we need is people accusing us of not having any team spirit or something. You really went and dozed off before the meeting even began, Leona? Talk about audacity. Roland thought your message was hype.
Yeah! Oh, my emotes. They're so cool.
Guess talking to him isn't gonna wake him up.
Now on to the topic at hand. I suppose I should begin by explaining why I summoned you all here. I realize this is short notice, but next week you'll all be going to a camp. In the mountains, let's say. It's called Camp Vargas.
Yay,
As
the
the
name drop.
As the name drop
thing where like it shows like where it cuts to the title. It's
Oh,
called...
yeah.
Don't you think it should have done that coach guy?
That would have been very epic.
Right.
As the name implies, it's a 3-day training camp overseen by our very own Coach Vargas.
What about Camp Vargas 2? Where does that fall in the storyline?
I actually have no idea. All athletic club members are expected to attend. If you would all quiet down, Coach Vargas will elucidate. The floor is yours.
Elucidate. Elucidate.
Pronounce things how I see fit.
I've never heard someone say eludicate. Right. Okay, here's the deal. Night Raven College is an athletic powerhouse, and we've been rocketing up the ranks in our division. Which is to be expected with me at the helm. But why stop there, when I could give you even more opportunities to grow? That's where Camp Vargas comes in. You'll spend 3 days in the great outdoors, testing your mettle against several special challenges I've cooked up. They've all been specially designed to test you all to your limits. And that's the point. Anyone who surmounts these challenges will be well on their way to becoming a strapping stud like me. Now, obviously, getting to my level is no mean feat. I figured you could all do with some extra motivation, so the head mage has agreed to provide an incentive.
Indeed, I will purchase any one thing for any club that completes all of their challenges.
I want a Bugatti. Anything? Did you just say anything?
No, I didn't mean anything. It was a poor choice of words. Please banish the thought from your minds. Generosity has its limits, of course. If a club were to ask for a second sports field, for example, that would naturally be out of the question. I ask you to limit your requests to equipment for use in your club activities.
Oh. Ah, boo. Piece of equipment, huh? Didn't the spell drive disc polisher go on the market recently? They're so expensive. Only pro teams can afford them, and they definitely count as equipment. We can ask for one of those. No matter how bad Coach Vargas gets, he can't be more demanding than Bill. Maybe it'd actually be worth going for it.
Oh, and any club that fails to complete their challenges will be disbanded.
Wait, what?
Relax. They're all entirely doable, if you apply yourselves. Just use those muscles you've been building. Don't disappoint me now.
Disbanded. Not that I hadn't been taking this seriously, but does that add more weight? But that does add more weight to the situation.
There's actually a more concerning matter, Silver. If we take part in this training camp, we'll have to leave Malleus for 3 whole days. Riddle, if any of us were to be absent, you'd be unexcused. Oh.
You'd be unexcused, of course. The head mage said everyone was to attend. Rules are meant to be followed.
But we can't. Training and challenges are a huge pain, but the camping part sounds kind of fun. That means we gotta get to do cool stuff that'll make a campfire. Roast marshmallows, right? Whoa. Are you serious, Krabby?
Floyd's back.
That's what camping is on land? It's not just a boring trip to go gaze at anglerfish lights and stuff. That sounds rad.
Did you two miss the part where they might shut down our club? Not a shred of urgency between you.
I've taken my siblings out camping in the woods a few times back home. We slept in tents and everything. Coach Vargas is right about the whole great outdoors thing. We learned a lot from that experience. You know, it's oddly convincing when you say it, Jack. But camping's just sleeping outside, right? Is that really all it takes to improve yourself?
Pipe down! Camp Vargas is gonna make you harder, better, faster, and stronger than ever before. No ifs, ands, or buts.
Man, that was loud. Hey, Ruggy, what's with the human bullhorn?
Oh boy, you picked the wrong time to wake up, Leona. Coach Vargas is ranting. Just please keep your mouth shut.
Excuse me?
I swear, you kids don't know how good you have it.
Now, Coach. They'll change their tune once they experience your camp for themselves, wouldn't you agree?
Absolutely. Next week can't come soon enough. Okay, boys. I'm gonna hand out the camp overview and schedule now. Make sure you actually read it.
Make sure you actually read it.
What is the next story chapter? You're about to spend 3 gems. Why do you have to use gems for this guy's story?
Because it's in the past.
Not fair.
What's this chapter called?
To camping perfection. Camp Vargas day 1 in the morning.
they've already started Camp Vargas? Oh, they're not there yet.
Mirror chamber.
Hydrate time from Stick Amethyst. Are all Equestrian Club members present?
No, actually, Sepik isn't here yet. We were supposed to leave the dorm together, but he insisted on guarding Malleus up to the last possible second. Huh? Ah, there he is.
What? What is this?
Roughing it outdoors shouldn't be any trouble for you, given your Briar Valley upbringing. The Equestrian Club is in good hands. Though it may have been an offhand remark, I shall never forget those words my liege spoke to me. Watch out, my liege! I, Sebek, do solemnly swear!
Watch out.
Watch me. I shall lead these humans and guide the Equestrian Club to camping perfection. I will meet your lofty expectations and do justice to my role as your guardian who elucidates.
Oh. Hey.
Why am I here again? It wouldn't be the end of the world if one of us was absent.
Doesn't he always look so good when he puts his hair up? Woo!
Yeah, I noticed that. Ambitious, yeah.
Look at that sweater.
Hey.
Please, Leona, don't even start.
But I did not even like comprehend a word he said. Okay.
We're all supposed to attend. I bet they'd abolish any club that had a member skip out.
Abolish. So dramatic. Hey, look, codes.
Morning, sea snake. Crabby. What's up with the outfit? Pretty sweet, right? I brought it especially for camping. I've been digging this brand lately. Their clothes are really easy to move in. They don't tear. Yay, Seaman's got on designer goods too. And I also recognize the brand Shark Sucker's wearing. You guys really went the extra nautical mile for this.
It's hard. Can you even hear it?
Yeah.
But
Thanks, Floyd. You're looking sharp, too. This is just a little something I picked up for myself when I went shopping for Leona's outfit.
Yeah, with my money. You owe me for that, by the way. Best be ready to work hard enough for the both of us at this training camp.
You bet I am.
I just realized I forgot an emote in my emotes.
which one?
I can't believe it.
On Octo guy. You didn't include him.
Oh, I'm so sorry, Octavio.
He's really happy to have his emote.
Besides, you would have demanded that anyway, whether I dipped into your pocket change or not.
No. I thought I was going to see a new emote, but no.
Hey, Stick Amethyst got the cool emotes.
Sebek.
Hold on.
Bup, 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 bup. Bup, 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 bup. La la la.
Your down jacket will avail you not in the mountains once the brambles tear it asunder. If you're at all serious about camping, you'd be better served by protective gear like mine. My rainwear is durable, waterproof, breathable, and personally endorsed by Lilia himself. Look at you, Mr. Outdoorsman. You're that scared of the mountains, it'd be much easier to just hide in your tent the whole time. How dare you?
Hey, Sebek, aren't you missing something with all that protective gear? What about your PE uniform? Same goes for Ruggy, Leona, and Floyd. You guys are kind of sticking out, you know?
Stretching time.
Oh, yeah? You got a problem with that? I wear what I want.
Sorry, I'm stretching my hands.
Did you
Okay.
stretch that code guy?
Some.
Some doesn't count.
No, not at all. I was just concerned is all. Our instructions said to wear clothes that are easy to move in.
Yeah, but they didn't say anything about PE uniforms. This is what I think it's easy to move in. I interpreted our instructions in much the same manner. In fact, Coach Vargas hasn't raised a single objection with any of us. QED.
What does that mean?
I forgot.
Somebody tell me what... Throlin, please tell me, what does QED mean? I need your help.
Tell him to put down his game and tell you what it means.
Throlin, put down your Fortnite game and tell me what this means.
Where is Throlin when we need him? He knows stuff like this. This is what Throlin's known for, is random acronyms. No, Throlin!
Because the Stranger Things skins just came out in Fortnite.
Stranger Things, you said?
Uh-huh.
That's epic. Who is included?
I don't know. I don't remember.
QED means Quod erat demonstrandum, which means what was to be demonstrated. It is used at the end of a mathematical proof or a logical argument to simplify that the proof is complete.
Why is he speaking in riddles?
It's weird. Quod erat demonstrandum. That was that which was to be demonstrated.
Maybe it's a common phrase.
If anything, I was expecting more people to show up looking like us. We're gonna be in the mountains for 3 days. Our PE uniforms have no insulation, and they won't stand up against the elements.
You've got a point there. I hadn't really thought that far ahead.
Of course. The instructions didn't specify PE clothes. Very astute observation, Sebek.
You clearly need to work on your attention to detail if you miss that.
Oh. Looks like everybody's here. All right, boys. You ready for a trip to the mine?
What?
What?
Wait, a mine?
Seriously?
Is it where that monster was? The one who was like, the stone. Oh! Oh, Dark Mirror! Guide us to the mine! Whoa.
Oh.
Yep.
Oh.
They're gonna find Grim here.
Say Dwarf's Mine, Silent Woods.
Dwarf's Mine, Silent Woods. So when the head mage said in the mountains, he meant a mine?
I can't believe we're back here again.
Yep.
Oh, yeah. Have you guys ever been here before?
Ever. I like the inclusion of ever.
Yes, we came here once with you and Grim. I mean, Grim and you.
You guys got some weird hobbies. Running around an abandoned mine. Huh. Are you mountain super fans like Jade? When I told you we were going camping,
You?
you whined non-stop about a Mountain Lovers Club, which should totally count as a sports club.
The Mountain Lovers Club.
Yeah, he's the only member.
Uh-huh.
So this is what we tried to correct. We were
I
going.
see. You guys ought to take him with you next time you go mountain climbing. I don't know, man. I kinda rather not. Besides, Deuce wouldn't be able to handle it. You wouldn't believe how much he was shaking in his boots last time we were here.
I was not shaking. And Grim and you were way more scared.
I wasn't.
What?
I dropped my phone. Okay, I'll give you that. Still makes me laugh every time I remember Grim Karen like that.
Hey!
What?
How did you predict the next line?
I should be a writer of this game. I understood it so well.
Yeah, did you guys hear a strangely familiar voice? Or was it just me?
Someone's coming our way.
Yeah! I was
You knew.
right.
Hey! Took you all long enough. I've been waiting here for ages.
Grim?
Grim? Morning all. And you too.
What are you two doing here?
We're the record keepers. Duh.
The what? That asleep man.
What?
Oh,
They're here at my behest. I task them with log keeping and capturing your efforts with their ghost camera for posterity.
You're talking to Master Photographer Grim and his assistant, you. And you can bet I'll capture every last one of your embarrassing moments.
Smug as ever, I see.
Additionally, at Coach Vargas's request, I've spoken with the local denizens. The ghost in the mine will assist you for the duration of the camp.
Is it that ghost guy?
Yeah.
Hey, happy to help.
Thanks for your support, head mage.
Think nothing of it. It's the least I could do with my infinite Yasashi no de.
Those ghosts look awful familiar.
Alright, everyone's here and raring to go.
That's what Sakurai said in 2018.
Oh, yeah. Camp Vargas is officially in session. But before we get to the challenges, I've got a job for you guys.
What do you think his job is going to be?
Scribe.
Bribe?
Scribe.
Oh.
Brains and brawn only. Setting up camp. Dwarf's mine. Scent woods.
Camp Vargas is officially in session. But before we get to the challenges, I've got a job for you guys. Pitching tents.
Ace.
Yeah, we gotta set up our own tents? What a lousy way to kick off our trip. Oh well, we'll just bang him out with a little magic and call it a day. Let's get this over with.
Not so fast! I'm confiscating all of your magical pens and smartphones. I expect you to solve problems with brains and brawn only.
Did you hear that, Jack? No smartphones. He's taking one of our most valuable tools. Losing our magical pens is even worse. That pretty much bars us from using any magic. Wait, what? Oh yeah, blot.
Exactly! As you know, blood is a dangerous and highly toxic substance that generates when you use magic. Normally your blood gets absorbed into the mage stones on your magical pens. But without those stones, using magic will cause blood to accumulate directly in your body. Even minor cantrips would take a heavy toll, let alone signature spells.
What is a cantrip?
Ask Throlin, maybe he'll come for this one.
Thurlin, I need
I don't know
you.
what cantrips are either. Probably something along the lines of like a quick, easy trip that's, out and back.
Let's see. A cantrick is primarily a minor magic spell, often with a trick or small useful effect, originating from Old Scots. It says it's in D&D.
Oh. Why they put a D&D reference in here?
And then it said, Throlin! Throlin,
Oh.
we needed you so bad earlier. Like, really bad.
We asked you 10 minutes ago or so, what a certain abbreviation meant, and then we were calling upon you again to define the word that we just came across.
It says, a cantrip is a basic spell that can be cast without using a spell slot, so it can be used over and over again.
Okay. No worries, Mr. Throwin.
Sorry, I was being ear blasted in a Discord call. Poor Throlin. Rest in peace, Throlin's ears.
Alright, Ace, you're on. Ace, it's your time to shine. Ace?
So basically, we can't use magic at a test of brawn without any magical assistance. That's what I'd expect from Coach Vargas. Then I have every confidence in my ability to excel beyond all others.
Yeah, I'm quite comfortable with physical competitions myself. I'll hold on to your magical pens and smartphones. And rest assured, I shall return them to you once Camp Vargas is over.
Dang, 3 days without those. All right.
What about their Duolingo streaks?
And Sebek can't text Malleus.
Yeah.
All right. Let's head over to the campsite where you'll be pitching your tents. Keep up and stay together.
I shall return to the school then. I'll see you all on the last day of camp. Give it the old college try, boys.
We're in college?
Mine and
What?
Why did you say mine?
I don't know.
That old guy, that was not correct.
dwarfs, mine, Camp.
Close
Yep.
enough.
Wowza! Get a load of this giant field! And all the trees!
You'll be camping here for the next 3 days. The tents hold 1 to 2 people, and we got plenty of them. Each club can take as many as they need. You have 1 hour to set them up. That might sound like a lot of time, but make sure you don't get cocky. A proper campsite is crucial to protecting yourselves and resting your weary muscles. Will you seek the shelter of trees as a defense from sun and wind? Or will you set up on a flat ground so you can rest comfortably? Each club should discuss the options amongst themselves. And feel free to grab a toolbox if you need one. We've got several. Your hour begins now!
We check up on the others.
Yeah! Let's stop by each club.
Name one member of the equestrian club.
Leona,
No.
Beck,
Did you say Sevek? What'd you say?
Beck,
Yeah.
Silver.
Sevek, Silver, and Riddle. Because they like to ride horses.
Coach Vargas mentioned protecting ourselves, but I fail to see what's so dangerous about these woods.
It's difficult to say offhand, but one can never be too careful. I say we pitch our tents in one place, so that we'll be ready to face any eventuality together.
Understood. The question is where?
You know, I saw a creek on our way here.
And it may behoove us to set up where there's easy access to fresh water. Grim's in the track club.
Imagine him running along the track.
That sleepy man, you are a track club member.
So now on to just get each random one that comes up.
Yeah, it'll help keep you awake.
Looks like the equestrian club. Eek.
Say again?
Looks like the equestrian club's gone over by the creek.
Should we follow their example and set up our tents by the water too? Water levels can rise. We don't want to camp too close to a stream. We don't all have to set up in the same spot. But I think it'd be good if we were under some trees, so we'll be shielded from the rain and wind. Ah, good point. Thanks for the suggestion. Hey, look, I'm not trying to tell you what to do or anything. Do what you want. Okay, then let's follow Jack's advice.
Yeah, good call.
Now, moving out. See how big of a mess they get themselves into.
And it'll be huge.
Did you like his grim, Pastra?
Uh,
How was it?
it's not as... it's perfect. This one doesn't want to load.
Setting up camp.
Why was the most fun possible sound like it was extremely muffled?
I don't know. The most fun possible.
You were covered by layers of blankets, that old Sky.
No, not my ears or my face.
That's you, that cookie guy.
Go.
That folded father.
Ensure the rain fly is right side out, then pull it over the inner tent. I'll have to be careful when I'm actually setting this thing up. All these steps are kind of confusing. Every time I pitch this tent, it ends up tilted 10 degrees to the right. I can't stand that it's not even. Sure isn't easy doing this by yourself. I've always had my family's help before.
Hey, cheers, Jack. I know you two want to get set up. The tent's I know you two want to set up the tents just right. But make sure to keep an eye out. Time, okay?
Yeah, you're right. So, Jack, want to work together? Make it a team effort? Yeah, you took the words right out of my mouth.
Spell Drive Club.
So, Leona, what's the verdict on the 10 Eplon I set up? Is it comfy enough for you?
He had to sleep test it first before answering.
I'd still prefer this greenhouse, but this is tolerable.
Hydrate time.
Great. Good thing you have a pair of underclassmen to look out for their elders. Speaking of, I gotta say, Apple, you're pretty good at this. Thanks for chipping in. Now, let's get our own tents set up. Okay. Well, color me surprised. The Tri Club and Spell Drive Club ain't having any trouble.
Equestrian Club.
Alright, now we just have to tighten the ropes at the four corners and adjust the tent's balance. Sebek, could you tighten that corner opposite of mine?
Certainly.
Hey, don't pull so hard.
Couldn't you give it a little more oomph, Riddle?
I'm giving plenty of oomph. Thank you very much. Talk about being strength. Rita looks like he's playing tug of war and losing. This is way different than him calling the shots at Heartslabule. I mean Heartslabule. At least he's singing.
15 minutes to go. Basketball club. Yeah. This yellow tint's not doing it for me. I'm gonna go grab a red one.
What is it? I sound a little different.
It's how he sounds when he's outdoors camping.
I see.
His vocal chords kind of change a little bit.
Hold on, Floyd. Are you seriously about to redo your entire tent?
Yeah?
Why is his voice different?
They got another voice actor.
If I'm camping, I want to have the most fun possible. You could stand to pick a brighter tent yourself, Sea Snake. Paige is so vanilla. Am I right or what, Krabby? No?
Why? He's so buried. He was like in the basement.
He was carrying a bunch of tents.
I don't know why it sounds different. I'm not changing positions.
Now you sound perfect. Try again.
Nope. Don't drag me into any of this.
I question whether the basketball club can last the whole 3 days out here.
Smeal's always getting run through the ringer by his dorm, and his club ain't looking much different. Some of these clubs are doing a real shabby job with their tents. Are they gonna be okay?
And time! A few
Wait.
tents.
Can you say that like a Smash announcer?
And time.
Okay.
A few tents.
That was well done.
Thank you. A few tents look a little lumpy, but aside from that, you've all managed to set them up. All clubs pass! Barely.
The Equestrian Club's pass is well deserved. I wonder if Coach Vargas isn't going too easy on the others.
So far, so good for the Spell Drive Club, I think.
Yeah. The chat club managed to assemble all our tents in time.
Yeah. The basketball club made it. Right at the buzzer.
Now that you're all warmed up, it's time to go over what you'll be doing at this camp. So listen up and listen good. Are you listening, that old Sky? Or are you sleeping during his explanation of Camp Vargas?
I missed it.
Cause why do you think she's using all her gems?
Because, you need to get your pulls. Vargas badges. Setting up a camp.
What are Vargas badges?
They're little, just that you.
Oh, can you say where they're at?
The dwarf's mine campsite.
As you progress through the challenges, you'll earn Vargas badges. When you
Ooh.
finish a challenge, report to a ghost. They'll verify you completed it and give you a badge. You'll have 7 challenges to do over these 3 days. If you earn all 7 Vargas badges, then your club passes and wins its prize. And if you don't get all 7, well, you don't need me to spell it out, right?
The club will be kaput.
Whatever. We'll just do all the stupid challenges.
So you're all clear on how this works? Great! Then I'll go over your 3 challenges for today. First, survival! You'll need a safe environment to get through the next 3 days, and it's your job to make one.
You didn't say it right.
Survival!
There you
How do they have another reference?
go.
You are to gather firewood from the forest, build a campfire, and light it.
That's camping 101 right there. Wild animals tend to steer clear when a fire's going.
Second, sustenance. You've got to learn about the ecosystem around the mine and scrounge up some grub. You'll catch fish from the lake, then clean and cook them up.
Come to think of it, I haven't eaten since this morning.
Third, education. Put that book learning into practice and glean some new insights. You'll be going down an assigned tunnel in the mine and digging up a mage stone. Each mage stone must be at least 1 cubic centimeter and weigh at least 3 grams. Any fragments smaller than that will not count. The locations for each of these tasks are marked on a map you received with your instructions.
That cookie guy, how much does it have to weigh for it to count?
Least a pound.
Now, can you tell me?
He's underwater.
Come
3
out of the
grams.
water. I could tell since it was a lot of Vargas speaking. It was like, I bet he's not gonna retain this.
Vargas speaking makes him fall asleep.
Yeah, I
He's
guess.
he's so loud.
I know.
I like Vargas. He's catchy.
Then sit up so you can listen to him.
Making adjustments.
Stretching time.
He's sticking in with this, just trying to help you out, get you awake.
Cute.
I bet you Throlin's falling asleep too. Just watch.
Long day today, probably.
Yeah, exactly. So Throlin's sleeping while his game's still going. You can. Uh-oh, he's here. I have to be up for a training course, but I have to take a work, but I'm too busy playing Fortnite with my friends. That's what it's all about.
Training course.
What?
I didn't know they did training courses at Amazon.
Oh, yeah. Dang, that stinks that you got a new driver trainer.
Oh,
All
okay.
right, Mr.
When are
Throw.
you going to get to do that?
Yeah.
I don't blame you for playing Fortnite with your friends. That sounds really fun. Fortnite? I play
Fortnite.
Fortnite too! You can borrow fishing rods and pickaxes from me when you need them. You have till sunset to finish all 3 challenges and get your badges. That's it from me. Now get out there and show some hustle.
Sunset's not far off, is it?
Can you say that exactly the same but pronounce the T in hustle?
Now get
What?
out there and show some hustle.
That just like really appeared in my head. Like that sounded right. Turkey said.
Glad I
Okay.
can make it a reality.
Sunset's not far off, is it? Sure isn't. These areas are pretty far apart, too. Time's not on our side. There aren't enough fishing rods and pickaxes to go around. We gotta figure out the best order to do things.
Did you know it was just revealed in you know how the Twisted Wonderland manga is coming out? So in the newest chapter, it showed Cheka, Leona's nephew,
Yeah.
being born, and he was literally a small little animal.
That's
So
great. Sorry, I just read Throlin's chat. Also, who was saying I was falling asleep with my game open? He heard us. That's only happened maybe once or twice. Wow.
in the last 10 minutes.
Oh! Throlin, he just can't. He's trying to stay awake. He's trying to game, but he just... It's so hard. That was me, Throlin. Okay, so what did he was an actual animal?
Yeah, a small little animal lion. Is there a term for a baby lion? Is it just little lion?
A cub.
Oh yeah.
Throlin said, "Look, I have people yelling in my ears, but I can hear my name being said." That means we can't talk about Throlin when he's not. Well, we can't talk about Throlin even if he's gaming because he'll still hear us.
We don't talk about Throlin. No.
Exactly, we can't. He always falls asleep on me. He's probably gonna fall asleep during my VTuber debut. And I'll be like, what? I missed it. Who's Throlin?
He forgot. He's so tired. He forgot who he is.
Throlin, no. He's too far gone.
So that means Ruggy, Leona, and Jack were all mini forms of their animals when they were first born.
That's so weird. How did they change through magic?
I don't know, but all we saw is a confirmed baby Cheka.
Interesting. Uh-oh.
Hold on. I'm trying to get back to the right screen.
You got distracted. You opened up Twitter.
Well, I did have Twitter. I turned it on so I can read the chat, but then, like I have it minimized most of the time.
Uh-huh.
It's not that hard. Just do them all at
Huh?
Eh? We need rods and pickaxes, fishing and mining, so just as many people as we fools.
You keep cutting out.
Ooh.
We need rods and pick. Everyone else can gather firewood. That way we can cover all 3 jobs and no one's just standing around.
Why did the quality gradually decrease as we went through the line?
Poor that cookie guy is going through the ringer right now.
I'm not doing anything.
You're muffled now.
You said that very muffledly.
About now.
Good.
I don't know about the other clubs. We don't have any herbivores who would need to travel herd. Hold on.
Yeah, you're right.
Give me a second.
What are you working on, that cookie?
Well, I had to get rid of the headphones. Clearly, they were the problem.
What?
Buggy, bounce between areas to get directions and allocate people as needed.
Roger that.
Can you say, 了解っす?
You guys it.
I couldn't hear you over that cookie guy.
But he did so good.
You guys.
Apple, you're good with all those tools, right? Quickly ready and kitchen whenever someone's having trouble.
Got it. That's our boss for you. Wait, hang on. What are you gonna do?
I'm busy making sure they're doing what they're supposed to. I just pulled my weight and then some. I'm gonna grab harder nap.
That's what I figured. Well, you're the boss. Come on, guys. Let's get to work. Yes, sir.
The clock's ticking. Where should we start? Let's think through our options.
I'm starving. Can we start at the lake? I'm hungry too. I second that motion.
I have reservations about how seriously Floyd is taking this. But I agree, the lake's a good starting point. We should get food while we still have enough energy.
So, we gotta fish, gather firewood, and mine a mage stone. Fishing takes a lot of luck. We might want to start at the lake. If we see the fish are biting, we could reassign a part of our group to start the other tasks. Sounds good to me. Let's see what the sophomores and juniors think.
My personal opinion is that we should prioritize the caves.
I agree with Riddle. The mine's been closed for a long time, so it's probably hard to find even small fragments of mage stones. We should get the most time-consuming task out of the way first.
That's a good plan. No objections from me. So to be clear, Silver's argument did not persuade me. I had the same idea from the start.
Oh, really? Then we're on the same page.
We most certainly are not. My ideas may be similar, but mine was more original.
Okay, time for us to get to work too.
Thurlin has a revelation.
Guys, I just found out who Throlin is. He's secretly What? How could you find out who Throlin was? I've been trying to find out who Throlin was for a long time.
This is a really long.
Oh man. That cold cookie, are you ready to go for like 5 hours?
I'm not. I feel like we might miss a lot if we do that.
How about 7 hours?
Also,
24-hour stream? Yes, it's gonna happen, Throlin. And you'll be here for it.
leave and then go to work and come back and we'll still be going.
Exactly.
I guess maybe we can do one more little section from first experiences And it's these 3 little subsections.
Oh, I'll be asleep by the 23rd hour.
So who in the Spell Drive Club do I want in my team?
Apple, because he has cool hair.
Leona, of course. Easy peasy. And the dwarf's mine in the forest.
What's up, Spell Drive Club?
Oh, hello, Grim. You? Hydrate time.
We came to see how things are going. If you're out here in the forest, that means you're gathering wood to start a campfire, right?
Yep, Ruggy told us what to get, and we just finished.
You got a lot of sticks and leaves. Won't that stuff burn up in seconds? That's the point. Thick, heavy branches burn for a long time, but they're much harder to start a fire with.
That's true.
That's why you need kindling. Stuff that's easy to light, like dried twigs and pine needles. I get ya.
I'm still not sure how we'll actually start the fire, though. We don't have any matches or lighters. If we can't use magic, I'm not sure what our other options are.
Well, that part's easy. Let's head back to camp and I'll show you.
Dwarf's mine at the campsite. Oh, hey, you're back.
You're just lying around here? I swear, you've been slacking off ever since the tents.
You got a problem with me, furball?
I didn't say nothing.
So, Ruggy, how do you start a fire without matches or a lighter?
First, you pick a dry patch of ground, lay out some rocks, then you put your kindling on top of them.
Hey.
Next, you get a rock like this white one I found by the river, and a steel file like this one. You brought a file from home? Are you kidding? I borrowed this from one of the toolboxes when we were setting up the tents. Anyway, when you strike the rock against the steel just right...
Whoa! Sparks!
Check it out! That leaf caught fire! There you have it. Now we just mind the airflow and use fire to light bigger and bigger pieces of wood.
Hey. I wonder if Threlin knows how to start a fire.
See?
Only with motivation.
See? Easy
Just imagine
peasy.
the fire he's going to set under those new guys tomorrow.
Yeah. Exactly.
Wow!
I can't wait to hear the follow-up story.
Yeah. Of Threlin's new person.
Yes, exactly. Let's see what he had to say.
It'll be awesome. Threlin will have so much to tell us.
You knew exactly what kind of wood to get and how to light it. You're like a camping expert, Ruggy.
I heard my name again. Sorry, I just can't stop mentioning Throlin.
You're
We
welcome.
were talking about the fire that you're going to light under the new trainees tomorrow
Yes, it's gonna be awesome. You're gonna be some motivation.
by way of motivating them.
Yeah, yeah. I didn't start the fire. Nice.
You're welcome.
It originally started with Bob asking Thurland, "Do you know how to start a fire?" Or something like that.
Yeah. I said, I wonder if Throlan knows how to start a fire.
You're welcome to give me a gift as a token of your esteem. Not saying, just saying. No, it's less about camping and more just plain survival skills. I had to pick up this stuff the hard way when I was really struggling to get by.
Oh, the lore.
Anyway, we've got our campfire. Hey, we need a ghost over here.
I did not start any fire.
It was Fastra that started it. Oh, throwing the blame on Fastra.
Oh, I see you've lit your campfire. Roland, you've completed the challenge. Here's your Vargas badge.
I want one in real life.
Great, that's one down.
You'll need the camping for other challenges. The campfire for other challenges.
There we go.
And it's essential for staying warm at night.
Can you look up what event does Deuce's mom show up in?
You don't know?
It's the second one.
I thought it was this one, but maybe I'm wrong.
It's the second one.
How would she show up here?
I don't know.
White Rabbit Fest event story.
I was really wrong.
Yeah, unfortunately.
So make sure it doesn't go out, okay?
I read you loud and clear. As for the fire burning out, well, so long as it's big enough, it'll survive a breeze or two.
You sure you want to pat yourselves on the back right now?
Throlin, speaking of events, he asks, can y'all see what event Throlin wins a Fortnite game? In the Stranger Things event. You got this, Throlin. Come on, win for me. Do that, the Christmas Bob win. You have to, Throlin.
Huh?
What the what?
Fairies? What's their problem?
They weren't here before, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, they just popped up out of nowhere. Where'd they even come from?
Ruggy? Is it just me, or are they angry? Oh, I'm definitely getting that vibe. Was it something we did?
You started a fire, remember?
Vecna just blasted me with a shotgun, so I guess I went to the upside down place. Yes, that's exactly how it works, Throlin. I got in the upside down place. I love how he's like casually there. He's just like, I guess I went to the upside down place. He's not very fazed by it, I guess. I think that shows that Throlin's kind of tough. I'm sorry Vecna blasted you though, Throlin. That's unfortunate.
Wait, what? This is my fault? But why would... No, the questions can wait. We gotta get these fairies out of here!
Get some spray.
Oh yeah, that could work. They're gonna fight him? What the?
学園長の特別授業です。
Oh, Crowley's back.
俺もそうする。そうきましたか。踊らせてやろ
Oh my gosh.
う。もう十分でしょ。バイバイ。
Later, Gator. Spend 3 gems. You could use these 3 gems on to pull for Coach Vargas.
I know.
Straight one-shotted them. You mean you did? If so, GG, Mr. Throlin. That's epic.
You can
One
handle
shot.
them.
No, Fastra did. Oh, Fastra. So epic gamer.
Dwarf's Mine Campsite.
Yeah, I'm playing like Fortnite at the same time as I'm voice acting.
That's so cool.
That's epic.
You're good at both.
Well, we finally drove the fairies away.
What do you think that was about?
Hold your horses.
Maybe he's playing Fortnite.
They were probably scared of the fire.
How do you think?
I'm actually the guy who's playing against Throwin.
Oh, this is intense.
Oh,
I've been taking him out,
Nice.
taking care of business, as it were.
Yeah, yeah.
How do you figure?
The mine has its own history, you know.
Good night, Sick Amethyst. Thanks for sticking around. And Throlin said, I knew it, that old guy. I knew you would betray me. He one-shotted you, Throlin. Oh, man. That's intense. That's intense. Sorry that had to happen like that, Throlin, but that old guy needs his dubs.
But don't feel too bad. It was a part where I wasn't speaking.
Yeah.
Back when it was in use, one of the miners' campfires caused a massive forest fire.
Ooh, that's not good.
After that, the fairies in the woods around here started calling embers red flowers. They've abhorred fire ever since. So they came to put it out.
That's it in a nutshell. You saved me the trouble of having to explain all that.
Huh.
Oh, yeah.
You really know your stuff. Please, we learned that class. You and Apple are first years, so I'll give them a pass. But the rest of you, how do you not know that? Sheesh, you guys gotta know this stuff. Or Vargas won't let you hear the end of it.
What should we do about it, though? The fairies will keep coming back as long as the campfire's going, right?
Yeah. So, Leona, any chance you'd watch over the campfire?
Just a second.
He has to take breaks sometimes.
I'm playing Fortnite.
Hey. Whoa.
Oh, there's this pesky guy.
Out. Throw him.
He keeps respawning, you know?
Yeah.
Nope.
Throlin doesn't want to give up.
You don't need my help shooing away a few fairies. They can't be that strong if they're scared of a little fire. You guys can handle it.
Thought you'd say that. Just had to ask. Okay, guess we'll have to take turns guarding the fire. The rest of you, go help out with the other challenges.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Let's go check up on the other clubs. To be continued.
We're gonna check the other clubs. Use gems to unlock it faster.
Dues are jacked, even though we can't see them.
Well, I need to see them because it goes into my decision.
It might be glitched.
It's just not gonna show up. Barbecue Ruggy. Deuce. He's like stretching.
The long haul. Dwarf's mine. Lakeside.
Okay, our bait's hooked and ready. Time to cast our lines and see what bites. Let's do it. Nothing so far. I hear like an echo of me sometimes.
I have headphones.
Oh,
That cookie guy.
Could be me. Because I have Twitch muted.
That's pretty normal. You gotta be patient and settle in for the long haul. At least that's how it was when you go fishing for pond smelt back home.
That's not a word.
Oh,
Except Roland definitely knows smell. Like, he's like, oh yeah, of course.
he probably uses smelt at least twice a day.
He would. I feel like I'm going to wake up in the middle of the night and that old guy is going to be standing in the corner watching me while smoking a cigar telling me, you won't escape me on Fortnite. That old guy. Why are you going to do that to him? How could you?
Well, you know, 90% of playing Fortnite is mind games, so there you go.
Oh, yeah. So now you're really scarring throwing.
So now I won't even have to work as hard.
Oh, so this is normal. Hey, look. Some fish are gathering around your bait. You're right. All I need is one tiny bite.
What's shaking, boys?
Ugh, fish! Grim, you scared off our meal.
Maybe you just ain't so hard at fishing.
let's see what you've caught.
So far, we got nothing. Grim, could you please keep it down?
Fine, you don't have to beg. I don't know, though. Are you really gonna catch anything just waiting around? You gotta shimmy your bait a little so it looks like a real fish. Here, give me one of them rods. Check it out. You make it do a little dance in the water like so. Whoops. The fish bolted.
Grim!
What? I was just trying to help. Hey, wait a minute. Look in the lake. There's a big shadow under the water.
That's gotta be a fish, right? It's coming this way. That sucker could feed the whole team. Jack, we can't pass this up. I guess not, but isn't it a little too big?
A lot of Stray Echo that time.
It's coming up to the surface.
What?
Oh, hey, Mac, you sea urchin. You got Steely and little Shrimpy with you. What you doing?
Floyd, what are you doing?
No challenge. Well, what can I say? I was hungry. Sitting around with a fishing rods or rails snooze fest. So, way easier to jump in and catch fish the old-fashioned way. Anyway, I was in the middle of a hunt, so I better get back to those gator gators.
And there he goes.
He can do that? Alright, enough distractions. This time I'm catching something. Oh, what now? I think someone threw a rock. Look, over there. Fairies? I don't know what they're saying, but I recognize trash talk when I see it. I've had it up to here with all these interruptions. Come on, Jack. Let's send them packing. Yeah.
Throwing. He's aghast at the concept of his
学園
own
長の
name.
特別授業
Throwing. Yes, Throwing, you're in the game.
かかってこい。
強くしますよ。
自分たちの勉強不足が身に染みただ。
身に染みただ。
I want to spend 3 gems to unlock the Throwing story.
Me too.
Good stuff. Dwarf's Mine, Lakeside.
Phew. Now they'll leave us alone. No more interruptions. It's time to get our fish on.
Oh,
A fish.
7, 8, 9, 10. Fish for me.
that one's codes.
I thought it was you.
Oh,
I'm the other guy.
I got 8 over here.
I caught 13.
I got 22. Quite a catch.
Throwing says, I wouldn't even spend a penny to unlock his storyline. I just hack it into the game. Throwing, I didn't know you had hacking skills. Okay, okay. Go ahead and hack it up. Get the Throwing storyline. Show your
I
friends.
thought a little fishing and cooking would be a walk in the park. But I didn't expect to tangle with fairies. That took a lot out of me.
Oh, I see the track. Let's go in a real hole.
I can
Can
hear
you-
the music.
Yeah. Can you maybe mute the stream? The
What?
Twitch stream?
No.
About 75% of the story is told by Mud himself. That's awesome.
Mud is his dog.
Yeah, that's awesome, Throwin. They did good on that story. Then.
Once you clean and cook these fish, your lakeside challenge will be complete.
Did you move rooms?
Yeah.
That old cookie.
Be patient, Padawan.
We've got a full selection of seasonings and cookware at the camp. Feel free to use whatever you like.
Okay, let's head back. Actually, what are we gonna make with all the fish? I sometimes helped my mom in the kitchen back home, but not enough that I know how to make anything too elaborate.
What is that old cookie doing?
Sorry.
You make all these sounds.
It's called existing.
Roland says, he kind of messed it up since he forgot to add my actual gaming skills from 21 to 23 and only added my fails. Oh, Roland, your gaming isn't recognized. Oh, no.
Okay.
Well, he tried his best.
How about you, Jack? Same. I can't cook fancy stuff. Pond smelt tastes great when you grill it fresh, though. How does that sound?
That's true. Dwarf's Mine Campsite.
Oh yeah, that's the good stuff.
Totally. It's tender and flaky and perfectly seasoned. All I did was grill it with some salt. Still, I'm sure eating it with friends around the campfire makes it taste all the better.
Yeah, give me some more.
Grim, we should probably get back to our job.
Come on, just one more fishy. We'll go after that.
We all know how Grim gets. I don't think anyone will mind if the record keepers take a quick breather. Come on, you. No need to be shy. Eat up. So, what's the plan after this, Jack? We should probably help out with the other challenges. I bet they'll need a ton of manpower in the mines. Collecting mage stones sounds good to me.
Nice.
All right, one more section.
That old cookie, how come I hear an echo through your mic?
I don't know.
Put back on your headphones and it doesn't echo. Choose Riddle, because he's
Okay, well, just prepared. Get prepared for the muffle man.
But it's funny when you sound like that.
All right. Back in business.
Nice. Straw? That old straw, why would you let your thing get that low?
It runs out really fast when I'm sharing the screen.
Aww.
Plug it in.
It's okay, I got time.
Well, you have enough time since we're just doing one more section, right?
Uh-huh.
Rudimentary in the Extreme. Chapter 5. Dwarf's Mine Interior.
Knock knock, guys.
Ah, the record keepers. Are you checking up on our progress?
Yes, sir. Why are you just standing around? Aren't you supposed to be finding a mage stone?
Yes. But swinging our pickaxes at random won't turn up much. Especially since this mine's been closed for a while. So we're going over what we know about mage stones first.
Do any of you know how to locate mage stones and mine them?
We learned about this in class. Of course I remember it.
We have a crazy thrill in development.
Wait, did I just hear mud in the background, that old guy? Did you steal my dog from me? What? That old guy, how could you have mud there?
Explain yourself.
Well, I didn't want to have to reveal it this early. But it's true.
Oh,
I knew it.
that's crazy.
It's all part of the process. We're trying to develop your Fortnite skills. And we need to fine-tune your focus, eliminate distractions.
Oh wow.
Did you already read this line?
No. Wait. Oh, I did it. I did. In general terms, mage stones are gemstones that have been transformed by absorbing ambient magical power. Locate them by tracking the faint traces of the magic they emit. However, doing so requires incredible focus, which I have. Typically, trained professionals search for them. Since we're untrained, our detection radius is 10 meters at most. Nonetheless, it's better than digging around arbitrarily. Tracking every centimeter of this vast tunnel would be a fool's errand. Once we've identified a general location, we can commence digging. I'll start by using the pickaxes to chip off the wall's withered, brittle outer layer. And we'll use hammers and chisels to remove the mage stone from its rocky encasement. That is all.
Excellent overview, Sebek. You certainly paid close attention in class.
I suppose there are worse things than receiving a compliment from the head of the sophomore class. I accept your words of praise.
Wow, Sebek, I have to hand it to you. You always do so well in class. I should take a leaf from your book.
Please, Silver. If I graced you with a leaf from my book, you'd probably just fall asleep on it. These facts are rudimentary in the extreme.
I don't know about that. I don't remember any of that from class.
First Fastra and now you.
Yep.
Well, we finished our review. Let's get to work and find a mage stone.
Whack, whack. There is one. I found one!
Hey! Sheesh, turn down the volume, will ya? My ears are ringing.
Why are you complaining? I found a fragment. Look.
That's a tiny one. It's just pure dumb luck you found it.
Nonetheless, it meets the size requirements. That takes care of our task.
I wouldn't celebrate just yet.
Is that the cry of a sore loser I hear? Wait, something's approaching.
Ready yourself.
I'm always ready. It's a happy fairy. Fairies? All the way down here? They appeared out of nowhere the moment I laid claim to this mage stone. Wait, do they want the stone?
I think you might be onto something. I don't understand what they're saying, but I can sense their hostility.
They may be.
That muffled guy returns.
Can you try again?
They, though they may be.
You got out of the water.
Do these minuscule mind dwellers truly think themselves a match for those of us who've trained in Briar Valley? I found this mage stone, and I won't allow anyone to pilfer it. Silver, let us drive these fairies away.
I don't see any better options. Let's chase them off before someone gets hurt.
心配するな。すべてうまくいく。
そうだね。
指導しましょう。
横道。
少し強くしますよ。
自分たちの勉強不足が身に染みただろう。
All right, last chapter of the night.
Oh man, I guess it is one. That muffled guy. You heard it too, Throlan? That's a good one. That's a good one.
All right, that cookie guy, since it's the last chapter, you gotta read the chapter title as if it's Emperor Cusco.
Okay.
You hear me, that cookie guy? Can you say it unmuffled?
That's what they get in the end.
No, I'm
That
still...
didn't-
It's all mine.
There we go. Why
All
does
right,
that
now say it like.
happen?
You gotta say it like Cusco.
Let's see. I'm a llama. That's what they get. That's what they get.
And
Dwarf's mine. Interior.
okay, we managed to chase off the fairies unscathed.
That's what they get for attempting to swipe another's spoils.
I expected a simple mining task, not a fairy fracas. This turned out to be quite an ordeal.
What does that mean?
A fairy fight. It's just funny.
Yeah.
Not to me, of course. Not for me. Or to me. After all, I've sworn to meet Malleus's every expectation.
I'm impressed, Sebek. Your motivation is strong, as can be where Malleus is concerned.
Of course, that's just how Malleus is. How great Malleus is.
Could you please stop yelling? This tunnel's very echoey. My ears are ringing.
At any rate, we have our Mage Stone. Let us claim our Vargas Cat badge.
You need a ghost for that.
Did someone say ghost? We, you called.
Don't sneak up on people like that.
Sorry.
Greetings, Ghost. We have obtained our requisite Mage Stone fragment.
Aw. That sleep guy.
Yep. You got that one right.
Close enough.
Go. One Vargas badge for the Equestrian Club.
Nice.
Victory!
So that's what the badges look like.
I can now report back to Malleus and Lilia with my head held high. Want to take a commemorative photo? Why, you're rather considerate. Go on then. Fulfill your record-keeping duties.
Ain't a tunnel big enough for this guy's ego.
Aww. I did it.
We read it all. Yay!
Yes, that old cookie.
Hey. I want to see my cookie turn color.
Of course. Codes, who do you think she's gonna invite?
Ghost B.
Oh yeah.
面白そうなものがたくさんある。
Wait, Ghost B's already here, Codes. Look.
やることもねえし、今日はここで過ごすことに
See
す
the
る。
ghosts?
何これ
Where are they? Oh, up top. Okay.
何これ
Nanikore!
Camp Vargas 2! I can't believe there's gonna be a Camp Vargas 2.
マリウス氏が悪ガキさん
Yeah.
にまれて一瞬処理落ちしてましたぞ。いやー珍しいし面白いし草生えたわ。
Alright. Thank you for dubbing with me.
Likewise.
Fun, even though that guy was sometimes had weird mic and sleep, but he was still here for most of it.
Yeah.
It's interesting seeing these folks without being able to use their magic.
Oh,
They just have to
yeah.
do things.
And for the longest time, I only knew about the event by name. I didn't really know what they were doing.
Yeah, they're doing their little
Or, like-
challenges.
No, they were separated in their clubs. I didn't know about that.
Yeah. Pretty cool. Look forward to seeing what else they do with the other tasks. The other Vargas tasks. Whoa. Nice.
I really like this Bill hairstyle.
Uh-huh. Nice. It's nice. It's nice. Alright, well, it is about time to head on to the land of the bed. But Throlin,
Yes.
First, Throlin, you have to answer for your crimes.
Oh.
Yes. Throlin, he really does hear his name from anywhere. He could be 100 miles away and he'll still hear it. What? Now I got him. I got him all scared. Just kidding, Throlin. You have done nothing to deserve punishment. You've been trying your best on Fortnite, and that's all I can ask. Do you like the event so far, Dead Old Guy?
Yes, especially the opportunity to practice my ghost voices.
Oh yes, the ghost. Oh, I got off it a while ago. Oh, okay. You just been watching or chilling? That's fine. That's fine. That old guy was kicking my butt. Ooh. You had to hop off then. Sorry about that, but it was nothing personal, kid. Alright, if you ever find yourself having to do stuff like starting a fire and catching fish without magic, then you take care out there.
Take care out there.
They're out there.
That old cookie, who should I rate?
Bye.